Uh, my little hate boner for fucking Ben Shapiro. Oh, it's getting harder. It's like a little tic-tac of rage at this point. This is Ben Shapiro. Choosing to have no children is inherently selfish. All right, let's hear you guys.
Now, speaking of substantive issues, I want to talk about a substantive issue that very few people are going to talk about today, and that is the New York Times has a long piece about childless women and men. This is a substantive issue because there are just too many people in American society who are not having children. I know, unpopular viewpoint with the left. This is a true thing I'm going to say that is going to trigger the lebs by virtue of it being true.
I, for one, am triggered, good sir. I am triggered because it's true. It's true. All right, no, let's let him get to his point. Let's let him get to his point. Give the man a chance, ladies and gentlemen. Quit trying to head him off at the pass. Don't poison the well.
Americans are not having enough children. We're not having enough children to support our giant social welfare state. We're also not having enough children just generally because we're replacing ourselves at barely replacement rates. Europe is dying. Europe is falling apart. The reason Europe is reliant on mass immigration from the Middle East is because they don't have enough people to actually do the jobs. The United States is falling into the same trap. Why? Because people have found meaning not in what does the future hold and building a better future, but in this sort of self-obsession. How can I live a more satisfying personal life? So the New York Times has this fawning article about a bunch of old people who don't have kids. Now, you might think that that's sad, a bunch of old people who don't have kids. They don't have kids to visit them. They don't have grandkids to visit them. And in fact, there's a picture leading this piece of 4 old people sitting on a bench looking out into the ocean, right? Which is really depressing just in its sort of context. Right? You put it.
Is it? How the fuck is 4 elderly people sitting on a park bench looking at the ocean depressing? Like, they're sitting there looking at the ocean. The ocean is pretty. What? They're enjoying a fucking nice day watching the fucking waves crash against the shore. And you're like, that's depressing, isn't it? It's fucking depressing. This is sad. Just sit them there. No, it's not. They're fucking 4 old people. They're like chilling in the fucking park bench looking at the ocean. Where's the fucking depressing part come in? Why? Because they're old? I mean, yeah, being old in and of itself is kind of depressing. I mean, your body is breaking down. Your wits aren't as sharp as they fucking once were. You know, the process of aging is depressing, but I happen to think that 4 old people sitting down on a bench looking at the ocean, much less depressing than 4 old people in a nursing home getting fucking fed applesauce via spoon from a nurse with a bad attitude. That's fucking depressing. That's a depressing setting. Seeing them here watching the ocean, that's not depressing. That's nice. That's a nice thing, Ben Shapiro. Do you have no concept of what's nice and what's depressing?
A child's in that photo and suddenly it's charming, but without a child, it just looks like a bunch of old people that are soon going to turn into tombstones. That's essentially what it looks like. And
yeah, because they're old. It doesn't matter where you put them, they're still going to be old. But according to him, if there was a child in the photo, it'd be a charming photo. Yeah, because it'd be so much more charming for the old people if instead of looking at the ocean, they were listening to a yammering little fucking idiot. Like, no, that's not charming. That's annoying. You don't know what things are, do you? 4 old people sitting on a park bench watching the ocean, that's charming. 4 old people being annoyed by a fucking stupid-ass kid, that's not charming, that's annoying. Annoying, charming. Charming, annoying. You got them fucking flipped. There's a circuit in your brain that's just, the wires are fucking crossed and you don't know what's what. Oh, I'm sorry. I know that, when I deliver truth bombs like that, it triggers you right-wingers, but, hey, that's just my opinion, whatever.
Here's what the article says. The vast majority of American women have children, yet fewer women are deciding to become mothers. The fertility rate is at a record low. When we asked people who don't plan to have children about the reasons for an article...
Hey, shut your fucking faggot-ass mouth. I'm trying to do a video, you asshole. That's why I have dogs instead of kids. A dog will interrupt a video every now and then. If I had kids, I'd never even be able to shoot a goddamn video. Hey, get your ass away from that door. Get your ass on the couch and lay the fuck down, bitch. Yeah, you slink away. Son of a bitch. Trying to fucking shoot a video. Little fucker won't shut his goddamn yap.
In the upshot, the top answers were the desire for more leisure time, the need to find a partner, and the inability to afford childcare. Many women said motherhood had become more of a choice, and they were choosing to forego it, whether for personal.
So let's just take a look at those 3 reasons for a second. The first reason was they wanted more leisure time. So yeah, I mean, is that selfishness? Sure. But what's wrong with selfishness? You know, last I checked, the only person that's really going to look out for you in this world is you. You know? And if you're that selfish, don't have a fucking kid. How many people have you met, or maybe you're one of them, who were raised by selfish fucks who only had kids because there was a social obligation to do so and they really weren't well suited to be parents? Because I've known tons of people like that. I could hear arguments for my dad not being someone who should have had kids. And yeah, if he'd been responsible and said, you know what, I'm a selfish prick, I probably shouldn't have any kids, I wouldn't exist. And I'm okay with that. You know why? Because if I didn't exist, I wouldn't be around to be like, but I wouldn't exist. I just never would have been, and it would have been fine. The world would keep on chugging along. But yeah, I've known tons of people, tons of my friends, tons of family members, tons of people I've run into just from day to day who have had parents who probably shouldn't have had kids because they were selfish pricks. And they were selfish pricks who probably didn't even want kids in the first place, but there was a stigma around not having them. Propagated by people like Ben Shapiro. And so these selfish fucks ended up having these kids that they had no interest in raising, that they had no interest in making sure they were set. I mean, like, how many kids are abandoned by their parents? How many kids are neglected by their parents? All because their parents are selfish assholes who never should have had kids in the first place and probably knew it. They probably knew it. And they were probably forced to do it by obligation, by a sense of, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, and others will look down on me if I live otherwise. So, being a selfish prick is a perfectly valid reason not to have kids. Perfectly valid reason. The other ones listed were couldn't find a partner. No one wants to fuck you. You know what? If no one wants to fuck you, then you can't have kids. Not unless you're out there raping. Is Ben Shapiro endorsing rape, ladies and gentlemen? No, I know he's not. I'm not going to go there. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't find someone to fuck you and put the seed in you or to put the seed in, then, so be it. That's just the luck of the fucking draw. You're an ugly fuck. You're an undesirable fuck. No one wants you. You can't have kids then. That's not even a choice at that point. That's just no one even wants to do it with you. So that's not choosing not to have kids. That's just being too ugly to find someone to rut with. And then the other one was financial reasons. I'm not financially able to support kids. So what would Ben Shapiro rather those people who can't support kids do? Would he rather they have the kids anyway and then go on wealth, and then the family goes on welfare and their kids are raised on tax dollars in programs that I'm pretty sure Ben Shapiro opposes the existence of in the first place? I mean, aren't conservatives always bitching and moaning about, our tax dollars going to support these welfare queens with their 12 kids? But now he's in favor of that? Like, make up your mind, bitch. Where are you at on this?
Or economic reasons. In response to that article and related one about a woman who is happily child-free, we heard from many older childless women and some older childless men reflecting on their lives without children. Many celebrated their decision. Some wondered what might have been. Others said they had moved from feeling heartbroken to feeling grateful. Okay, now, let's just face a basic fact about humanity. Basic fact about humanity. You will always justify the decisions you made. It's very rare to find human beings who look at the decision.
Oh, okay. So when you say basic fact about humanity, what you really mean is, let me just go ahead and poison this well really quick. These people say they're satisfied with not having kids, but we all know they're lying because it's a basic fact. It's a fact about humanity. Well, show me where you cite the source of that fact. Asterisk citation needed, motherfucker. Where is that a fact? Is that in the fucking Encyclopedia Britannica, Is that in the fucking Farmer's Almanac? Where can we find this fact, Ben Shapiro? Where is it? It's not a fact. That's your fucking opinion, dude. That these people must just be lying when they say they're happy they didn't have kids. You know what? My uncle, who's a gay dude, he's always been the cool uncle, He's always been the uncle that has fun with the fucking kids. Goes, here's found a quarter behind your ear, and mess with their minds a little bit. I remember he told me at some point when I was a kid that water was animal blood when I was like 4 years old and I was scared to take a bath. Makes him sound like an asshole, but he wasn't. He was just a trickster. But, he always did well with children, and people always like, it sucks that you're gay because you can't have kids of your own. And he's like, bullshit, I'm happy with it. You know why? Because there ain't going to be no one to put me in the home. Nope, I'm just going to be a crazy, doddering old man out on the streets doing my own thing because I ain't got no kid to be like, Dad's getting pretty old. I don't really know if he could take care of himself anymore. I think it's time he went to the home. Yeah, if you don't have kids, there's no one to put you in the fucking home. I mean, I guess if you do something real crazy, like you strip naked in the supermarket and start throwing cans at people, probably someone will put you somewhere. But, as long as you don't do anything beyond the pale like that, you could pretty much just be a fucking old man slowly losing your mind, wandering around on the streets with a shopping cart going, blah, 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 blah. And there's not going to be anyone to be like, I don't know if Dad can really take care of himself anymore. Time to put him in the home. Because I'll tell you one thing. As shitty as being old is, being old in the home is worse. That's why I don't find the picture of the people on the park bench depressing, because you know what? At least they're still got their freedom. They can still do what they want. They can still go sit on a park bench and watch the ocean. If they were in an old folks home and they were like, hey, can we go out and look at the ocean? The old folks home people would be like, no, it's not safe. Best to just sit here and eat your fucking applesauce, Gramps. Cocksuckers.
Decisions they've made in their life and said, you know what? Really botched that one. Mm-hmm. That was a mistake. And I think the first step toward becoming a better human being is saying, I made a mistake and maybe I can do better. But people have a real stake in doubling down on the stuff that they've already done.
They should look at Ben Shapiro and be
Here
like,
are some of the
I made a
comments.
mistake.
Joanne from Georgia.
Should have done better.
She's 62. Over my life of 62 years, I've gone from being heartbroken to relieved to proud that I never had children. Why would you be proud that you never had children? What sort of contribution to society have you made by not generating a second generation? Now, it's one thing if you obviously can't.
I mean, the contribution you made to society is I didn't add to overpopulation. I didn't add to this menagerie of failure known as the human race. I didn't contribute yet another fucking mouth to feed on this miserable ball of shit planet. I didn't introduce yet another asshole with yet another stupid fucking opinion onto the face of the fucking world. I mean, that seems like something to be proud of. I'm personally proud that I have no plans to ever contribute to another generation of humanity. And guess what? The human race is going to keep on chugging along. And if it doesn't, it's not going to be because people stop fucking. It's going to be because we destroy ourselves in an ecological or nuclear disaster. It's not going to be because people just stop fucking doing it, okay? But yeah, I mean, like, we got enough. There's enough people on this planet, don't you think? Don't you think 7 billion people is enough? Don't you think we're good? Don't you think we could actually do with maybe less people? Like just a few less of us? I'm pretty sure that we're good right now. I'm pretty sure that we are all full up on humans and people who decide, hey, I think we got enough of us. Let's not make any more. Us personally, we won't make any more. If our neighbors want to do it, that's up to them. But our choice is nah. What's wrong with that? How is that really selfish? I mean, maybe the reasons behind it are selfish, but ultimately, I think the motherfuckers who are like, you know what I think the world needs? Another fucking open maw to feed. Another fucking unskilled laborer to, put grade D meat in fucking grade Z shells over at Taco Bell. That's what we need. Because most of these people, these human beings, they're not doctors and lawyers and shit. They're, truck drivers and fast food workers and contract workers and all this shit. And honestly, a lot of those jobs aren't even going to exist in 20 fucking years because they're all being replaced by automation anyway. So, like, what are we going to even do with this surplus of people whose menial jobs won't even exist in 20 fucking years in the first place? We don't need more people. We need less people. So I'm sorry. I think your position is the selfish one, sir.
To have children if you have that sort of trouble. But to choose not to have children is an inherently selfish act.
No.
Again, this is a very controversial proposition in today's day and age. The reason it is a selfish act is because you are...
It's controversial because it's stupid. I mean, it's really not controversial anyway. Lots of people have kids. This culture still fawns over those who do. I still go over to my parents' house and they ask me, like, when are you and Chelsea going to have some kids? And we're like, never. Not any time in the future history of this family will me and Chelsea produce offspring because we don't want them. Ask Scotty. Maybe he wants to have some. So it's not this controversial position to say, yeah, children are good.
Species. You no longer have a stake in what happens next. The world stops turning the moment you die. Once you have kids, you start realizing that your decisions mean something more. Nothing changes human beings more than having children.
I'm sorry, if the only connection you have to the human species and its future destiny on this planet is because you want your own genetic lineage to continue on, how is that not the selfish thing? I want my genes to keep on going. Like, your genes are not what makes humanity special. Humanity is special because of, like, a rare few individuals like, Mark Twain and Shakespeare and Einstein and motherfuckers who actually made a real contribution beyond just, I made sure the nuts and bolts were tight and, I painted this door and whatever the fuck else. That doesn't really mean shit. You take, Painter Joe out of the equation and put in Painter Carl, and he could have done the same fucking job. The door would have gotten just as painted in a world where Joe the painter was never fucking born. But you get rid of Einstein, all of a sudden we don't have no E equals MC square. You get rid of Newton, all of a sudden we don't have calculus or whatever the fuck he invented. You get rid of Mark Twain, you don't have fucking Huck Finn. You get rid of Shakespeare, you don't have tons of words that he contributed to the English language and tons of, plot archetypes that are continuously used to this day. There's people who made a concrete, lasting, irreplaceable, inimitable contribution to humanity, but they're not no dime a dozen, okay? They're rare motherfuckers. Most of us are pretty goddamn expendable, Ben Shapiro and TJ Kirk fucking included, bitch. And for you to say that it's selfish to not have kids when you're the one who only gives a shit about the human condition if your genes get to continue, I think you're the selfish fuck here, dude. I really do.
Nothing makes you rethink the decisions that you've made in your life more than having children and deciding what to pass on to those kids. Nothing makes you care more about building a better society than having children. Nothing makes you more protective of the things that we have that are good than having children.
If you were actually protective of the things we had that were good, you'd be protective of this planet, and you'd realize that ecologically it makes sense for there to be less people, not more. So if you actually gave a shit, you'd be on the other end of this issue. You'd be saying, hey guys, overpopulation is a problem. We're burning through the world's resources way too fast. Our fucking future generations are not going to have a future at this rate. So we need to, make some serious changes. We need to look at who really needs to be breeding on this planet. But that's not what you're doing. You're just saying, everybody fucking have a big old gangbang. Unprotected sex everywhere. Be sure to produce offspring. Be sure to produce as many new humans as possible, because if there's one thing that this planet needs, it's more goddamn humans. Yay, human party. Oons, 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 oons. Breed, 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 breed. No, dude, come on. You know that's horse shit. You know that's horse shit, Ben.
And when you sacrifice all that because, hey, I had a good time and my kids weren't a pain in the ass, at least I didn't have to deal with little Timmy's drug problem when he was 16.
Yeah.
Yes, having kids is a risk. But it's that risk that not only makes life worth living, it makes civilization worth preserving.
Hey, you know what? How about this? If you feel like having kids makes your life worth living, then you go right the fuck ahead. No one's stopping you. No one's even criticizing you. I mean, some people are. I personally, maybe a little, but I don't go out of my way to do it until you start, trying to flip it around on me like I'm the selfish one because I don't want to contribute to overpopulation of this planet. And, if I can already hear these stupid comments, overpopulation's a myth. No, it's not. No, it's not. Go look it up. It's not a fucking myth. The fucking arguments that the people who say overpopulation is a myth are so fucking ridiculous. It's like, well, actually, if we were all standing, side by side, we wouldn't even take up that much land. Well, that's not how we live, is it? We like to build big-ass structures and, golf courses and ballparks and cities, and we like to build big factories that blow fucking smoke into the air, and we like to drill into the fucking oceans to get the oil to power our cars that release the CO2 into the atmosphere and shit. We're not this benign fucking species that just stands around saying, this is nice, isn't it? That's not us, okay? So shut your fucking yap.
Hey, Carson from River Heights, he's 66, she's 66.
Facts before feelings, faggot.
He says, I'm a 66-year-old woman who chose not to have children, and I've never regretted it for a minute. Friends, lovers, professional colleagues, siblings, nieces and nephews, neighbors, and other people can be constants in a person's life too. Right, that means that you are basically mooching off of someone else's kids. Implying that women who don't have children are doomed to loneliness is ignorant. No, it's not. By poll data, it is certainly not ignorant. The vast majority of women want to have kids, and they want to have kids for a reason. And just because human beings...
Yeah, because there's a biological imperative to do so. But this woman just told you, I never had kids and I'm fine with it. I'm happy. And you're basically just saying, no, you're a liar. Statistically, who cares about statistically? She's talking about herself. She's giving you an anecdote about, these people say that, if you don't have kids, you're going to be lonely. But I've never had kids and I'm not lonely. I still found human connection. I still found a way to relate to the human species and its struggles and its plights. And you're basically saying, nope, you're lying. You're lying because I don't like what you're saying. Mr. Facts before feelings once again. No, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. You're actually the Mr. Feelings before facts, right? Okay.
Beings have an enormous capacity for self-deception and may want to suggest to themselves that everything is hunky-dory when they're 60 years old, living at home with no one else there, in a house by themselves with no kids. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
That happens when you're 60 anyway. Who the fuck has a bunch of kids running around their house at the age of 60? Most people who are in their 60s are alone because their kids have left. They've already raised their kids, the kids have left the nest, and now they're just waiting in death's waiting room like, well, I did my thing, and every once in a while the grandkids come by. Oh, the grandkids, let me spoil the That's it. That's their life now, sitting around alone, occasionally. When mom and dad want to go to the casino, they drop off little Timmy to grandma's house. And that's it. That's their lives. So is it really any more empty Just when they don't have, like, oh, maybe little Timmy will come visit. Oh, yeah. No. No. You're always going to be alone. In fact, the reality of human existence, Ben, is that everybody's alone, even when there's other people around. You live alone. You can't transcend this prison of your mind, your body. You can't let anyone else in. You can't truly share your thoughts with anybody. You can't truly share your feelings with anybody. You could try to communicate verbally, non-verbally, whatever. You can form connections with other people to an extent, but you can't really let them inside yourself. And they can't really let you inside of themselves either. So we're all truly alone. We live alone, we die alone. We're never going to have that level of connection with another human being that we truly desire, whether it comes from our loins or not. Okay? That's the reality that all human beings ultimately must face. And, you might find that barren, stark, cruel, cold, whatever, but that's just the way it is.
And then the fact the New York Times is pushing this is pretty telling. Retired and love it from the Oregon coast.
Pushing what? What are they pushing? They're just saying, hey, a lot of people chose not to have kids in life. Let's talk to them and see what they got to say. Turns out most of them are pretty happy with their decision. What is that pushing? They're saying you were just saying, hey, like, you're the one who's pushing something, dude. The New York Times is not out there saying, don't have kids, nobody. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. You're the one who's telling people something. You're the one who's being prescriptive here. You're the one who's telling people, if you don't have kids, you're a selfish fucking pile of shit. And that's the way it is. If I ever do have kids, I'm gonna fucking train them to spit on you at sight. So you better be glad I ain't having any.
I'm a retired woman, 66, and never had children. I went to college on the GI Bill and always worked a white-collar job. Women like me were considered oddities when I was in my 20s and through my 40s. Instead of having kids, I spent time traveling, owning my own home, and doing very fulfilling volunteer work. I was fortunate to be able to retire at 65. I've never regretted being childless. This is fine. The real question is, why is the New York Times actually pushing this? And the answer is because the New York Times believes that this inherently self-absorbed culture is something good for the country. This is something we need to talk about. How do we instill a culture of purpose and meaning again in people that they want to contribute to the next generation and that they actually want to be part of the great chain of history that leads backward toward a time when people did not live in
is there an actual, you even started this article by saying that most women still have children. You said that you're like, we're barely at replacement rate. Okay, let's get under replacement rate. Even if only 1/4 of people had kids in this generation, there would still be a future generation. Humanity is going to keep on chugging along. Like, we don't need this many fucking spares laying around. We have at this point an overabundance of human beings. And the real reason that this fucker is talking all these talking points, the real reason that he's so obsessed with everybody breeding and making sure that everyone has kids is because, one, he's a conservative, so he's scared of any sort of demographic shift in America. Two, we have an economy that's based entirely around perpetual growth. So there has to always be more. Because if there's not more, the way our economy is set up, it won't function. Because there always has to be a bigger and bigger and bigger consumer base. You know what else follows that pattern? Cocaine addiction. Oh, you snort some coke, you want more coke, more coke, more coke, more coke, more. Any sort of behavior that is contingent upon constant growth, constant expansion, constant need for more and more and more and more and more is not sustainable. It's not fucking sustainable. You are arguing, Ben Shapiro, for that which is not sustainable. I mean, have you seen do you know how fucking explosive the population growth has been over the last 100 years? I mean, It was like at 3 billion people like a century or so ago. Now it's at 7 billion. And that growth just keeps on exponentially increasing. Now, in some Western cultures, it's gone down. The reproduction rate has gone down. But overall, more and more people, more and more people, more and more people. Like, at what point are you and your ilk going to say that's enough? When there's 20 billion people on the planet? How about 30 billion? How about 50 billion? How about 100 billion? How about when there literally is no room and everyone lives in a fucking cubicle stacked on another cubicle with more cubicles above them? When humanity is just living in fucking, like a grid. And there's no room for any other life form on the planet. Is that going to be enough? Or will you still be like, no, people need to keep on breeding. More humans. Not enough humans. We need more.
Prosperity and decency with safety for their children toward a time when people will live in ever-increasing prosperity and decency with a sense of meaning for their kids. Those are the conversations we need to be having. And that's not...
I mean, I thought you were a fact guy. Isn't your whole spiel facts before feelings? All this meaning and purpose shit you're talking, that's entirely emotional bullshit. There's no fact of meaning. Show me one fact in support of the idea of there being any sort of inherent meaning outside of subjective human interpretation of events. Where's that fact, Ben Shapiro? It doesn't exist. You can't find it.
Not going to be happening if we're so focused on the triggering of the libs. Okay, all that stuff's just not that important.
All right, whatever, dude. You're a fucking idiot. I don't know why people listen to you, but to all you Ben Shapiro fans that are here, I mean, I know you didn't actually watch the video. You just showed up, so I was criticizing Ben Shapiro and thumbs down, Ben Shapiro is smart. No, he's not. He's a retard. He's a fucking retard. And if any of you Ben Shapiroites actually did have the patience to sit through this video, just know that you're following a guy who is not about facts over feelings. He's about feelings over facts 100 times out of 100. So fuck Ben Shapiro and fuck anyone who thinks Ben Shapiro has anything worthwhile to